We may start.
Hello, I'm Andrew Jackson from Taisce, which is the National Trust for Ireland, an environmental NGO. I'm the Natural Environment Officer and in-house lawyer for the organisation. I've been asked to speak a bit about environmental legislation in Ireland and its relationship with the energy sector in Ireland. Like most EU member states, most Irish environmental legislation derives from EU obligations. Some of the most important pieces of legislation in terms of the energy sector, of course, there's a Renewable Energies Directive, which aims to boost the overall share of renewable energy in each EU member state and allocates targets for each country to meet a collective goal. So Ireland has quite an ambitious target to grow its renewable energy sector. Then we have certain pieces of procedural and protective legislation, which aims to protect the environment. So the ones I would mention, particularly in this context, are the Habitats Directive and the Birds Directive, which together create a large network of protected areas called Natura 2000 for protecting certain species and habitats of European importance. That network now covers about 18% of the entire EU land territory, and those areas of land, plus large marine areas, and those areas of land are given special protected status beyond any protection that's given to areas outside the network. So one issue for energy projects in any EU country, including Ireland, is the overlap with the Natura 2000 network. So if a developer wants to build a wind farm, there's an issue about siting. So one issue is trying to have a national plan and a strategy for siting renewable energy projects in a way that minimises any impact on these protected areas. So I would say that's an important issue. And the European Commission has developed useful guidance on wind energy developments and Natura 2000. They're going through a process of developing sectoral guidance, and this is one that they've already developed. Another important piece of legislation in the Irish context and in the EU context is the EIA Directive, the Environmental Impact Assessment Directive, which requires certain types of projects to be subject to environmental impact assessment before they are approved, and also for those that aren't on the list of projects that require mandatory impact assessment, the directive requires a screening process to be gone through to check whether a project is likely to have significant effects, in which case an assessment is needed. And in Ireland, one particular issue we have in the energy sector is we still have 3 peat-fired power stations generating electricity in Ireland. Now, this is a very inefficient and climate-intensive fuel, and unfortunately, what we have found is that the extraction of the peat fuel source has not been subject to environmental impact assessment under the EIA directive, and that is that's a lesson of EU environmental legislation, which is underpinned by strong enforcement mechanisms. Even so, it can be the case, as in the case of the peat sector in Ireland, that an entire industry, an entire energy generating sector has to date somehow slipped through the net. So in other words, the power stations themselves might be subject to impact assessment, but all of the direct and indirect effects of those power stations, including the extraction of the fuel source, have not yet been subject to assessment, and that is something that we are working on at the national level in Ireland.
Oh, very good. Like specially prepared. No, thank you very much.
Sure, no problem.
Then you write everything about you, your email,
Sure.
as a website and references to